Welcome to Prog Will Find a Way, our podcast all about progressive rock. Today we're going to talk about the Cruise to the Edge. I'm Jay Valade.
I'm Jonathan Block.
I'm Tim Taddei.
So we have Tim back for his review of the cruise. John and I did not go on the cruise, but Tim did. We had him back a couple episodes to give us a preview of the cruise, and now he's here to give us a review of the cruise. So, how'd it go?
It was spectacular. This was our sixth Cruise to the Edge, seventh cruise for Prog. We did Prog Nation at Sea in 2014.
And this was April 4th to the 9th this year.
Correct. We went to the Dominican Republic and turned around, came through the Bahamas. It was out of Miami, 5 days. And we typically have a VIP package every year. And that means you got to have an upgraded room to get into the VIP situation. And normally we chose what color laminate, and this is important, that we wanted to be.
Yeah.
And this year we put no priority.
Got it.
And so what happened was normally we would end up on the same, which we didn't even realize, on the same laminate situation for priority seating in the main theater with the guys that organized Cruise to the Edge. So we were always in the second row.
Oh, okay.
So we got our laminates the morning of the 4th.
Yeah.
And pull them out of all our credentials out. And I see row A, seat 15 and 16. Well, every Norwegian cruise ship has what they call the Stardust Theater. It's in the front of the ship. That's their main theater. There's like 5 boats that are sisters that are all built the same way.
Yep.
And I knew that we were front row, dead center, for the first time ever.
Wow.
And now with that comes responsibility
Of showing up.
Because if you go to something like Robert Fripp and Dave and you're sitting in the front row, you have to sit there and not fall asleep and interact for 90 minutes. And I have a 38-year-old son who, halfway through Steve Hackett was doing the bobblehead. And I'm like, hey, you got to, they can see you now. If you're in the second row, you can kind of duck.
But Mad going to be mad.
All right, so
Jonas was just like pointing at him. Anyway, so what was really spectacular for us was that with the gold VIP situation, not only did we have assigned seats for all the headliners at the Stardust, we also had entrance 5 minutes before everybody else.
Got it.
So sound checking in one of the other lounges, they would let just gold in, then silver, then the general public until it was full.
Got it.
So people line up all the way down the ship to see Karmikanic for the first time ever.
Okay.
We just show up 5 minutes before showtime, just walk by everybody, do this, and go pick wherever we want to sit. So if it's a show that we need to get in and get out maybe in a half hour, we'll find a nice perch somewhere, or we just go right to the front and take seats right in the front.
Right.
Or sit on the floor if they allow people to sit on the floor, or stand. And then the pool stage, which was the only outdoor venue, is just a free-for-all. First come, first serve. Because everybody on the ship can fit in that space.
Right.
So we had pre-boarding on the ship, which is really cool. A ship's officer came and got all the VIP people. There's maybe about 40 or 50 of us.
Okay.
Well in advance of the masses. So we kind of made our way to the front of the line in the morning. Got on the boat maybe an hour and a half before everybody else, and they told us, we could go get our drink package, or we could go this or that, and we knew the ship like the back of our hand, so we went to our room, dropped stuff off, even though you're not supposed to. Then we went to a private dining hall for a early lunch, and then at about 2 o'clock, Magic Pie was already set up. This boat was already outfitted with stages and PAs because there were 3 cruises prior. typically we've gone on these cruises where it takes them all day to build the stage, so nothing really happens the first day.
But this one you had like a full day.
Monsters of Rock were on this, and there was a R&B cruise prior, so everything was all set. And they put a lot of money into the equipment this time around.
So day one is the day you get on the.
Yeah, we get on the boat, and we don't set sail till 4 o'clock. So everybody's on the boat at 1, 2, trickling in 3, 4. 4 o'clock, we shove off.
So they don't. Anybody playing?
Yeah,
that
so
day?
Magic Pie at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
I brought schedules. So Magic Pie at
This is day one.
1:45. So 1:45 Magic Pie is playing at the Stardust Theater.
And then that's it. And then you take off, and then the
everybody
cruise really starts.
Everybody comes out for a big sail away photo, and then we start going out of Miami Port, and Saga was the.
Okay. How were they?
They're great.
All right.
New guitarist. That's a different story, but yeah, I got a young guy.
What
Been
happened
playing
to Ian?
I don't know. But Marco immediately, he loves Saga, ironically, because he heard him last
getting
year in
on in
2024,
years,
and he's like, now this band knows how to play prog. Like, he even looked at Ian and said, Eddie Van Halen must have learned from him. So I don't know what the story is.
Okay.
So the guy was pretty good. But we had a couple rocky days. We're not prone to seasickness or anything, but the boat was moving around all the way, very windy, all the way out past Hispaniola and Cuba and everything. Fortunately, when we turned around to go back, it was nice and flat for the last 3 days. But a lot of people were a little uncomfortable. And a lot of musicians are having problems with balance, right? So one of the things that has kind of bothered me the last 2 cruises is that they're adding headliners, and what happens is the headliners, half the people have green, half the people have orange or red and blue, whatever the color of Del Año, whatever. And so you go to the show, they're playing for an hour and a half, it's roughly 100 minutes. Well, 2 nights later, the other half of the people go see them. They're playing the same set.
Yeah.
So you're only getting to see, like, 2026. I would only see Marillion one time.
Yes.
Unless I could sneak in to their second show. But they're going to do the same set list. So that is kind of for me, is a pet peeve. Because a lot of bands, I think, have, like Haken could be a headliner, but they want to do 2 sets. They want to be out at the pool stage
got it.
and do some covers,
Yeah, but in doing that, you don't miss out on something.
Correct.
As a goal, as a green or an orange, you get to see the show.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you only get to see one. So I only
know.
So I only get to see.
But if they're repeating the exact same show, then you don't miss out on it.
Right, but if they did one show in the theater and the other on the pool stage or another one of the lounges,
But then they'd have to do 3 shows because they'd have to.
Well, yeah, you're right. I don't know. It just
They're not paying them enough.
Apparently not.
All right. So anyway.
Yeah.
So you saw Saga, then you skipped Rick Wakeman.
We didn't skip him. We missed his show thanks to our green
Did you go
laminate.
to the IQ Q&A?
I did not.
Okay.
I just wanted to see them. I didn't want to talk to them.
That's cool.
But I want to get my schedule out here. So we're on the photo. We saw Saga. We went to Thank You Scientist. First of all, one of my favorite bands of all time. And brand new singer, debuted, first time ever. Damien actually had an iPad because he needed to know the lyrics and was super nervous. We were there for the sound check because the trumpeter is a good friend, Joe Galais, and Tommy Monda, one of the best prog guitarists on the planet. And the band is just so tight, and it was going to be interesting to see how Damien was going to fill Sal's shoes because Sal's voice is very, very unique, distinct, completely different, more John Anderson-ish voice.
Okay.
But he's also a showman. He's running around, jumping around. He took his shirt off, and he was just having fun. He was having fun out there, right? A nice Jersey boy. And his debut was spectacular. I took some video, sent it to the dads of the band.
Oh, that's cool.
And we just, when the show ended, we just happened to be walking through the middle of the ship is called the atrium, where in the lobby of the boat, you know, when you first get where the concierge and all that stuff. And there's a stage there that was just a rotating stage, and this Gabriel Agudo was playing.
And who is that?
And I did some backup work with Steve Hackett.
Okay.
So we hear this, and we're like, this sounds really good, but it sounds really familiar. And it's Eric Gillette, Nick Beggs, Craig Blundell, and Gabrielle on guitar, but next to Randy McStein, I think, sat in too for a couple songs.
Wow.
It was Prog, and it was spectacular. The guy is so good. Then we went out. So now 7:30, we go. You know, it was kind of happening at the same time. We went to get a little food in between, go out to the pool stage, and now it's 7:30 at night. So we're at full sail in the Atlantic. It's windy, breezy, and like almost to a fault. Like I got pictures where you just hear the whirring of wind, and we got like hoodies on, and it's really cool.
How is the band, Van Hertzen Brothers?
Yes, well, they are high energy and a tight
even in the
Finnish band, not German, and so it was fun to get out in the open water and see a great band, and then we shot down to the Spinnaker for the debut of Karmikanic with Jonas Reingold, his band, but he was star-studded. This was the Steven Wilson band, you know, and others, and the Steve Hackett band with Jonas on bass.
Okay.
And Casey McPherson did all the singing because John Mitchell wasn't on board the boat, but he did the new Karmikanic album. He was the vocalist.
Because he was touring with Asia and now the Arena.
Yeah, so
doing a tour.
John Mitchell is in everything.
I have
Journeyman musician.
I have a music crush on that guy, you know. So Karmikanic, without a doubt, one of the best sets on board the boat. You know, obviously I have an affinity toward it because on the last podcast I had mentioned that to me it was one of the new Karmikanic album, Transmutation, is one of the best albums of the year. And
all right. I'm going to have to give it a listen.
And so
I stopped listening to anything to get to know Leprous, which I didn't get to go to the show. So I was listening to Leprous for like 3 weeks straight. And
it's funny that you say that because the new Leprous album is the most accessible.
Oh no, I downloaded their set list and I listened to the set list.
There you go. Yeah, well, a lot of it was Atonement, but so I digress. So we did Kairos, a little bit of them. We went to Late Night, and what Late Night used to be is. And I had
no Jazz Sabbath.
No, we missed
would have
them.
liked to see that.
Yeah, we heard them. We kind of went by them.
And they're
kind of
playing movies too.
Yeah,
Heavy metal.
There was a movie when you walk through
That's
the
funny.
lobby.
Yes, songs.
Yeah, there's a lobby when you're walking through the lobby.
Okay, all right.
We were actually going to go watch Yes Songs.
Yeah, I got some questions
about.
And
then
then
Haken didn't really come out till midnight, and
I
think it was later than that, because they're perfectionists, and it was. They just blew our minds. I mean, they didn't do the last time they were on the boat in 2024. They did the new album in its entirety, and then they came back and did some standards. The second set at the pool, they mixed up. It was a mixed bag. It was a spectacular set. Obviously, it was great to be in the front row because I took a lot of photos. I took some video. At the end of it was maybe 1:30. I could look on the phone because everything's time stamped. Probably about 1:40 in the morning, and they played Visions for 25 minutes, and then we had a sing along.
That's a long day.
It was awesome. So yeah, we had music from. Well, Marvin played
no in people
the.
Are falling asleep. Marvin, Steve Hackett.
I failed to mention that when we got into the terminal at like 9:30 in the morning, Marvin, they took all their instruments out and they were just jamming for everybody. So we started listening to music at 9:45 in the morning till 2 the next morning.
Oh my Lord! Wait, we haven't even hit day 2 yet.
No, so late night
podcast will be 4 episodes.
No. I'll be very. I'm going to cover 5 things
Yeah, because I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
All right,
And
day
some of
two.
the stuff
Day
coming
two.
up.
So day two. First of all, late night live is
Where's your
passengers who have late night live is passengers who have signed up in advance to play songs together. So you're on guitar, I'm on drums, he's on
Now,
bass.
have they brought their own instruments?
They brought
or
their own instruments.
Wow.
And
Okay, that's-
and you've auditioned for the
Oh, my
whole year
Lord.
with
Okay,
like I
right.
pick you as my guitarist because I'm doing Owner of a Lonely Heart, or I'm doing like when I played I did
I'll wait for a different tune.
Carry On Wayward Son, whatever.
Okay,
or
I'll
a
try to
Cars
do that
tune.
Really?
You play anything you want.
Really?
Anyway, and
All
a
right.
lot of the professional musicians will show
did you
up.
play?
Oh, wow.
No, I didn't sign up for any of
Okay.
that stuff. So day
right.
two, Nick DiVirgilio,
Okay,
Neil
well,
Morse.
hold on. There's stuff that went on in the morning. So you're not doing the Rockstar Paint class?
I'm not doing
Okay.
But you
What
did
is
the
that?
big train Q&A.
Yeah,
that.
Big Train
Just
QA.
dropped in for that because I love them. They're
The
great.
Rockstar Paint class was Yes album art.
Right. First of all, I don't paint, and
Okay.
second of all, I'm
I
not
don't
paying
like Yes.
$100 extra dollars to be indoors painting something.
Right, painting a Yes
This
album.
isn't sip and paint.
When my
But
friend
Roger
Jay,
Roger Dean wasn't on the tour.
Not this
On
time.
the- on-
No.
on
But
the
he
cruise.
had.
we
He
don't
has
need to
been.
paint Yes
Yeah.
album
No,
because we
Roger
have the
Dean.
quilt.
See, that's the thing. If Roger Dean, because he has been on the ship,
was
Right.
was-
teaching people how to
there you go.
paint, yes.
Yeah, that's
Then
that's
Roger
that's
Dean.
$100. That's worth $100.
Crap.
You suck. Get out. Out.
Out. Off the ship.
You call that art? All right,
So
anyway.
the first thing I did that day was at noon. We saw DiVirgilio, Morse, and Ross Jennings, and they're a super acoustic guys. They got 2 albums out now, and Nick's on a cajon. The 2 of them are playing guitars. Ross Jennings he's really good. He's a good guitarist. Obviously, all 3 of them sing. So it's just a kind of they did
That's
a couple.
Steve Morse?
Neil.
Neil Morse. Okay. I didn't. You just said
The
Morse.
king of Prog himself. So
Well, you said playing guitar, so I thought.
Yeah,
I
so-
was like,
Dixie Dregs, that's the other band, the I kept trying to think of
Oh.
like the Aristocrats because I'm always saying Brand X, but it's also Dixie,
Dixie.
Dregs. It's that
Yeah.
whole thing. Okay,
Yep.
anyways.
Anyway.
That was the last
Sans
episode. by the way.
Sans violin.
Well,
right,
there's
so-
more people.
So anyway,
Neil
they were-
Morse is this the only band he's playing in on this tour?
So-
on this,
Saddle, yes, because
Got
the night
eight
before the
more
cruise, we
days
didn't
to
get
talk
to the
about.
night before the cruise.
we have a month of
No,
a month of Prague.
no. So the night before was a private party, not private party. If you had a ticket to the ship, you could go to the, Magic City Casino, and Neil
Is that-
Morse's new band played.
Is that Thursday?
Thursday night.
So Thursday night before the
and
cruise.
we got delayed out of New Haven, so by the time we landed,
take a velo.
with a velo.
A velo.
Yeah, yes.
How was it?
It's always good, but
Hashtag a velo.
But if there's fog, it's a short runway. They can't land.
Got
So
it.
we had like a 4-hour delay. By the time we landed and got to
Fair
Miami, we missed. the
Okay,
show.
so
But
Robert Fripp and David Singleton Q&A. How was that?
it was brief. We made sure we didn't go to our front row seats because I knew that my shipmate wasn't going to want to sit in the front row and listen to a couple guys chatting about.
Right.
So we kind of sat in the back. I took some pictures to prove to Mr.
that he actually did that Fripp actually did show up on
that
the
he
cruise
was
and do
actually
something.
there
Yes.
talking. And we
right.
picked up on a little bit about how he was suggesting, and this is kind of a funny thing, because he was suggesting that he wrote a lot of the Knacks music.
Really?
And that they had ripped him off, and so when we left, the first thing out of my son's mouth is, "Of course, it's what every musician says. I wrote that. You stole it." Yeah, so I said,
Wow.
Yeah, I've never heard
Knack.
that one
And so I
before.
said-
That's,
Did he say he was working with the Knack and then he never got any credit?
we were asleep
Okay.
at that point.
Because he's still in this thing with Bowie's estate about getting credit for heroes.
That's right.
Well, he did get credit. Well, he did get
No, the
credit, and then
correct credit.
after Bowie died, they are sold when the catalogs were sold or something. The credits had changed.
Yeah, and he wants to be featured performer because you get a royalty for featured performer.
Right.
He was not listed as a
Wasn't listed.
featured performer.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
It was
because
something along those lines. I don't know the
like you would
ins
never
and
think
outs
this,
of it.
but I mean, a lot of the bands from that era were in prog bands. So the drummer for the Knack was. It's escaping me who he played with, but he played with known prog people. He was
Okay.
yeah,
And Fripp was all over New York City
gonna
at
look.
that time with Blondie and
well, yeah,
whoever,
70,
you know, so-
78 through
Yeah.
and through
so
79.
he might have been in those circles.
could have very well, but I've never heard that before. That's a cruise only exclusive.
And
what-
my Toya doesn't sound like my Sharona.
There you go.
My Latoya. I think it's the same beat though.
Anyway, so how was that?
A lot of what we didn't hear when we started talking to other people was, again, I've seen it on YouTube where he just talks about the Bruford experience and how Bill kind of helped keep them together and also kept them apart because and I've heard him say this so many times and having played the drums, not being like a true drummer, but that blame the drummer for everything because you didn't know what Bill was going to show up today,
right?
So we just had to worry because that show he was horrendous, but 3 nights later, right, he played some great chops. It's like okay, Bob, please just tell him to pick his kid up and go home and bring in Mastelletto, bring Pat in.
Well, that's why he has 3 drummers on the last. So that if one of them didn't show up, the other 2 could.
One thing about him is that I didn't realize this is that he relied on Gavin Harrison for a lot of things on that last tour.
Really?
Yeah. Like who should we bring in? I want to put the rhythm section front and center. He wanted things to be a little more. Polyrhythms, and they got into some good stuff. So anyway, Pure Reason Revolution.
Oh, you
first time ever.
Wait, you skipped the Beg
I don't care
Sisters.
about Beg Sisters.
That was a walkthrough as well.
Yeah, you're walking right through the middle of the
Okay.
thing, and it's Nick Beggs' 2 cute daughters with acoustic guitars.
Okay.
And so do the math. There's not a single thing that they do that's prog. And he is star-studded in a zoot suit, literally like with sequins, on a stand-up bass playing with his daughters. It was rough.
It was rough.
I love Nick Beggs, and you know that. But so anyway, forget about the photo thing.
All right. Pure Reason Revolution.
I mean, you turned me on to them.
Yeah.
And I could never get enough of them. The new album I love, and they have a new girl.
How's the new singer?
Annika.
Yeah, I don't know her name.
She plays the keys very well, and the band is just the sound is so unique.
Did they play a lot from the first album?
They did. And it was outdoors. It was beautiful. You're cruising along at 3:00 in the afternoon, open seas, and they just lit it up. They were heavy. They were tight. And just, Marco had never heard them, and he's like, okay, I get it now. I get why you like this. Because they're like leprous. And it's here, and then it just goes to, 11.
I really like their first 2 albums. Their last 2 albums I like, but I haven't, gotten into like I did the first 2 albums.
Yeah. So then we had to do Wheel of Prog because if you watch Roy Avin, who does the Prog Report, he does on his show. He does this Wheel of Prog. He'll bring in Stephen Wilson or Mike Portnoy. He'll bring in a star and they'll spin the wheel, and it's like 10 best prog albums of the 70s.
Oh, and then he
had a panel of guys like from Caligula's Horse and
whoever
and Big Train and
he spins the wheel.
And he's got the wheel on a computer, and then they have to draft prog album of
Okay.
the 70s, you know, so Close to the Edge, somebody made it like A, B, you have your A, your B, your
Yeah,
C,
sure.
your D. And obviously then when, for example, when C's three, there's 12 albums, okay, and 4 guys. And so you put a specific album in your C slot. I put one in my C slot. You also do. Then you can bump somebody's up or down to get, you know. The point is, we're going to try to determine what the best prog album of the 70s was, or 80s, or 90s.
So what was it?
It wasn't Close to the Edge.
Well, then what's next?
Move on.
So he did this twice.
Hold on. What about the? You had to wait till the middle of the second day for your goodie bag.
Yeah, so he.
Why?
I don't know.
Isn't that weird? Like, what's in it?
It's always like that.
Okay.
You
All
get
the schedules were in it, and like you're halfway through.
the schedules are on your,
Okay.
you know, on your
Yeah.
bed, but
Goodie bag is your swag.
it's this, it's this.
Oh, okay.
But this is on you at all times.
Right, has to
and
be.
if you're just a regular person, all the VIP people had these things. But then it was a mix and, you know, meet and greet. We didn't meet anybody. We didn't greet anybody. We went in there. We get our stuff and we move on.
All right.
You,
I
you
feel-
get a free cheesy drink.
So you
and
didn't go to Yes Arms.
Scornful.
No, I don't even think it was on. I don't even think they actually turned it on.
What?
Well, they did, but the film's so dark that it probably looked like it was night.
Well, we didn't go because IQ
Yes.
was playing on the pool stage, and first time I've ever seen IQ. And
So did you do IQ and then like ditch and go to Steve Hackett? Because you circled
no,
them
we
all.
walked
Steve
in at the
Hackett
back.
Got
So because it was opposite our color.
Oh,
So
got it.
And so what happens there is that
So this is the
I can only
updated
go to the
schedule,
green-
not this, because this had IQ playing at 9 p.m. at the pool
yeah,
stage.
they flip flopped.
Okay.
Sorry, they flip flopped.
Just ask.
So you went to IQ. You went to Steve Hackett
Well,
as the
so you-
orange.
How's IQ? How were they?
they were so good.
Yeah.
They were so good. It's just
What did they play?
well, they opened with Frequency.
Okay.
They didn't do any of the new album.
What?
It was so
Oh, that's
Wow.
bizarre.
yeah, they didn't. I think because they hadn't played for anybody like us ever before.
Oh,
They
okay.
just did back catalog stuff, and I was
I'm
fine with it.
sure.
Marco had only known, and they didn't do anything to Road Bone. They didn't do any of that.
Ah,
I was like, come on! I mean, there's such great grooves on that album.
so they were like, "This is our first time ever playing to these people. We're gonna
Essentially
hit the
outside
highlights."
of England. Then,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So then
okay.
Steve Hackett, you hit the back
We-
because
yeah.
you were going to go see him later anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna be front row, so it was just like
And then
that's kind of
But
what
then
we.
Von Herzen Brothers again. That's
a
all within
spinnaker.
15 minutes.
Yeah, you're dropping in, you're just checking shit,
Oh,
stuff
okay.
out.
So IQ, you were
then
just
we
checking
then
out.
we do like a long dinner kind of thing because we weren't doing the Casey McPherson thing. That was another couple $100 as a charity thing.
Got it.
And everybody was playing with them and doing little sing-songy stuff. Dropped into Kersner for about an hour,
Gabriel.
and then Gabriel again because his guys
Same
just
group?
So good. Yeah, same guys.
Same
were just
people
dropping
playing.
in.
Okay.
And then Riverside 10:15. They were on time. One of my favorite bands, and so it was really cool to be right there. Marius Duda, one of the best prog musicians on the planet, but it was an eerie feeling having seen him so many times. I've probably seen him 10 times, but it was just a different setup, and he seemed like all business, no pleasure.
It's like I'm getting this is a paid gig, not a fun
So
gig.
after the second, so at the end of their set, which and even Marco said was probably the best Riverside. They played at Toads, by the way. Probably the best Riverside set ever because the set list was tight. They played really well, but halfway through the show that we were at, the drummer was obviously controlling the click, and he throws in. He hits a button and you hear the overdubs for the beginning of Landmine Blast.
Oops.
And Marius looks back and he stops it and he goes, "Fucking drummer." So we were like, whoa. So at the end of the show, they finish with a long epic tune of theirs, and each guy stops playing and walks off, and then the other guys are still out there. Then Marius takes his bass, he walks off, drummer walks off, keyboardist walks off, and you're like, what just happened? 2 nights later, same thing, same vibe, and I hear from a couple guys, they said, it's over. I'm like, what's over? Riverside.
Oh, really?
Apparently, each one of them came out and separately bowed to the crowd. And Marius said, "We're gonna take a break for a while."
Wow.
Like Devin Townsend just announced. That he's
yeah.
done.
All right.
So I was like, all right, no Riverside. But
All right.
so that was kind of eerie. But again, day 2, not as busy as day 1.
This is day 3 now. I already turned
Okay,
thank
so
you.
so that was day 2. Why don't we stop here because we're getting really long, and we have 2 more days to tackle. So 3? No, there's 2 more days.
3 more days.
Okay, well,
The last day will be cool.
we did well. No, we also did all the beforehand stuff.
Yeah.
So all right, join us again next time for days 3, 4, and 5. Recap of
Cruise to
Cruise
the
to
Edge.
the Edge.
Prog will find a way.
If you wanted to.